Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully everybody's staying safe during these crazy COVID-19 times. Today we're going to talk about some of my favorite films. There is one black and white film that I really like and two color films that I really like. One discontinued, one still in production. We're going to start with the black and white film, FP4 Plus. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Personally for me, film photography is very subjective. You might not like it. I personally really like it. In terms of contrast, it's sort of a middle of the road film. It is slightly more contrasty than a regular film, but it's not a T-Max, or it's not, for instance, an HP5. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to push it a stop or two stops, depending on the subject or depending on the assignment. It really all depends. It could be out and about in the countryside. It could be in the studio. It could be anywhere. It could be a portrait of my son. It could be anywhere. But I'd like to push it a stop or two stops. When you push it two stops, you get that really classic look and that extra contrast, which I really love, because this film natively doesn't have a whole lot of grain to it. So very versatile, you can push it, it's an all-round film. I love it. I love it. If it's any film, if it would be the last film I could ever use, it's Ilford FP4 Plus. Then let us move on to the color film. First, we're going to talk about a film that unfortunately has been discontinued. This specific unit has been discontinued in 2007. But Fuji Pro 160S is wonderful. Again, film photography, very subjective, but what I love about this film is the skin tones. Fuji has always had it spot on with the skin tones. Unfortunately, they've been discontinuing a bunch of stuff, including this film. But the skin tones they render just so beautifully. I absolutely love that film because of that aspect. Back in the day, relatively seen, it was a very sort of a contrasty film, and it had a punchy color tone, which I really loved. It has a cousin, the Pro 160C. It definitely has more contrast. That's all it has. It has more contrast, and therefore it looks more punchy. But this one is absolutely beautiful. Still, if you have it frozen, you can find it frozen somewhere. It's beautiful. Color palette is absolutely right up my alley. I absolutely love it. But it's discontinued. I still have a few rolls left in the freezer. I love this film, but I shoot it tentatively because it's not in production anymore. It's hard to find. And you're really going to have to find a guy that has it in a freezer and that's willing to sell it. Now, one film that as of late I've become a real big fan of is the Pro Image 100 of Kodak. I didn't think that. It was such a surprise. When I did my first photo shoot with it, I was just blown away. No, it's not a portrait. Portrait 160, it has such fine grain. If you shoot it with a very sharp lens, it almost looks digital, especially in medium format. But this has just enough grain. It's an older emulsion, and that's why a lot of people think that it's not a professional film, but this is absolutely a professional film. And I'm going to do a video on it in the future where I'm going to show you why I think, in my opinion, it is a professional film. I love it. I love the tones. I love how it renders skin tones, which was really surprising. And that's absolutely my new favorite sort of all-round film. I take it everywhere. I like to shoot it at night as well. Surprisingly enough, it does really well at night. It does really well on the countryside. The colors are punchy, but the skin tones are nice. That's what I always look for, because mainly what I do is I shoot portraiture. Portraiture is absolutely what I love to shoot. And therefore, most of these films, all of these films really, they do really well in portraiture. Of course, there are other films that are discontinued, the Fuji NPH 400, the MPS 160, the Pro 160S cousin, the C version of it. Wonderful films. The 400H, I'm sort of on the fence about it. I've shot it a couple of times, but I don't really like the skin tones. This stuff, the Pro Image 100S, again, very subjective. I love the skin tones, but shoot it where it belongs. You got to shoot it in the studio under studio light, and it is wonderful. You got to shoot it under a lot of light, and you got to expose it properly. It's not a film that does well being overexposed. So if you expose it well, you measure properly, it's wonderful, it's delicious, at least in my opinion. Your mileage might vary. I love that film. So guys, these are the films that I really like. Yeah, leave me questions in the comments if you have any question about these films. I've been shooting them quite a while. Try them out, see how they are for you. Especially FP4 Plus, push it a stop, push it 2 stops. See what it does for you. The Pro 160S you're probably not going to find, but if a friend or a family member has some in the freezer, try it out. Do it. It's a delicious film. Use it for portraiture. And then this guy, absolutely order a 5-pack. Another thing that's really great about the Pro Image 100 is that it's relatively affordable. You can buy a 5-pack for about, $25, American dollars to $29. And it's just a wonderful film. I love it. So guys, that is it. I hope everybody has a great time during quarantine, wherever you are in the world. Stay shooting, I would say. Stay creative. And thank you for watching. Love you guys. See you in the next video.